Waugh. She's been working in public relations for quite some time now. She's done some pretty impressive things. She's gonna come up to the stage and we're gonna kind of dive into her career and how she got into the field, what she's currently doing, and how it relates to AI. So without any further ado, we will have Mrs. Waugh come up to the stage. And I just have to say this, I have to sort of embarrass her a little bit. The last time she came here, she was maybe 3 weeks, 3 days. Newly minted Mrs. Waugh, so she just celebrated a year of marriage, and so I told her she looks radiant. I guess love will do that to you. Yeah, perfect.
So we can get centered.
Perfect. Hey, you never know, baby. You might get an intern.
That part. Called content.
All right, and so while we're waiting, okay. The session is called Beyond the Algorithm, Using AI to Secure Real Media Visibility and Build a Recognizable Brand. And again, we have Mrs. Bridget Waugh talking with us, speaking with us, and imparting some knowledge into you all. I think I kind of asked this question, but let me ask this question in another way. How many people are familiar with the term public relations? Familiar. Okay, how many people in here are School of Communication students?
Nice.
Okay, all right, cool. Just call out your majors, just really quick, for those of you who are not SOC majors. General studies. Say it again. Music, okay. Sports management, okay, all applicable things. All applicable things.
In all areas.
In all areas. So before we get into strategy and before we get into exactly what public relations is, can you sort of tell the students who you are beyond your title, and then we'll get into some of your career milestones after?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, I'm gonna say like the old folks used to say, it's a great day. Any day above ground is a great day. How many of you have heard that before? Your grandmothers, yeah, okay. So my name is Bridget Waugh. Yes, I did just get married a year ago. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary, April 5th, which just happened to be Easter Sunday. Because last year, Easter was down in the month. So that's why we picked that day. Anyway, I am a mom of one son. He's 28, yeah. And I have to remember, I am actually 56 years old. I know I don't look it. Thank you very much. And thank you for the compliment. Morgan said I look younger. She was like, I'm not trying to offend you, but you look younger than you did last year.
Benjamin Button.
Right.
Backwards.
Aging backwards. But she's right. Love will do that, and when you're happy. I attended Texas Women's University, so I'm a military child. I'm not an Army brat because my father said he wasn't raising any brats. So I was raised in Kaiserslautern, Germany. I used to speak fluent German and French because we also lived in Paris, Germany, Canada, and London. Then my parents divorced when I was 12 years old, and we moved to Beaumont, Texas. Who knows where Beaumont, Texas is? Yeah, that was a culture shock for me. Because I had an accent, and people were like, you talk funny, and you don't talk black. That was the first time I ever heard that term, didn't know what that meant. And then this one black girl asked me if my dad was white. And I said, why would you ask me that? I said, no, my father isn't white, it's yours. So then she wanted to fight me, but the reason why I asked her that was because she was lighter than me. She had green eyes and blonde hair coming from the root of her head. And she was like, what do you mean my parents are black? And I was like, I'm asking a genuine question because you got, anyway. So went to Westbrook Senior High School, graduated, and then went to Texas Women's University. And then after that, I was like, I do not want to go back to Beaumont, Texas. So quick true story about my husband and I. We dated when we were in high school. I was 15, he was 17. My mom introduced us, and she told me then that he's going to be your husband one day. So anyway, moving forward, I called. I was like, hey, how's Houston? He said, why don't you come check it out? Came to Houston for about 3 months, and then I was like, okay, I'm sold. So I moved here because Houston is a huge melting pot. So for me, because I had traveled all over the world, experienced different cultures, I said, okay, Houston is kind of cool, because Beaumont for me was very slow, but that's kind of where I got my thick skin, if you will, because I was bullied, you know, because I had an accent, and, you know, people said I talked funny, and I was smart, believe it or not, you know, and I'm cute, so. Is that it?
Yeah, that was, you know, actually, you said some things that you didn't say last year. So, I mean,
really?
I even learned some things.
Okay.
So, what drew you to public relations? I know you didn't start off in PR,
No.
but how did you morph into PR?
So I morphed into PR because of my son. At the time, I was building a house, planning a wedding, and had started a new job at a radio station. And I would not see him before he woke up or when he went to sleep. So he was 4 years old, and 4-year-olds, although they can speak, they can't really express their emotions. And so he started having these tantrums. And I was the only one who could calm him down, so I would leave work to calm him down. And then kids are smart, especially my kids. So then he figured out, oh, okay, if I act up, then my mom will come and I can see her. So, like I said, building the house, and what happened was they wanted to write me up because they said I didn't call, which I did. Believe it or not, I think cell phones had just kind of came about, you guys. I'm old, but I'm not that old. And the business manager lied and said that I didn't call, and I did. And so they were like, well, you haven't been here, and yada, yada. I said, well, first of all, I've used my vacation time, and then I've used my, personal time off, my PTO. I said, and then I had some other days, but you can't write me up. And so they were like, well, you can't keep, leaving every time something's wrong with your son. And I said, but you leave all the time to go check on your kids or hang out or go to baseball games or what have you. I said, what makes my kid any different from your kids? So he said, well, sign this and we'll put this in your file. And I said, I'm not signing that. So I went into my office and I typed out my 2-week resignation letter. And I signed it and I put it on his desk. I said, here you go. I signed this. Okay, let's calm down. Let's cool it. Let's let cooler heads prevail. And he tells the lady to leave out. Then he says, okay, let's talk. He sits back in his chair, and we're all black in here, but a white gentleman, and he said to me, you cannot quit this job. And I said, why not? Because you just bought a house and you need this job. I said, oh. Please tell me things that I can't do. I said, okay. I said, but what makes you think? He said, because didn't you, you need this job and we're paying you this and yada, 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 and there's no way that you could still pay your mortgage without this job. I said, wow. I said, let me explain something to you. Just like I was looking for this job, God will bless me with another job. And 2 weeks came, I was packing up my stuff. He's like, where are you going? I said, my 2 weeks is up. He was like, wait, you were serious? I said, yes, I was. And he was like, well, we haven't found anybody. That's not my problem. But I stayed, but I also wrote another 2-week notice. It took them almost 2 months to find somebody else. And every time he asked me to stay longer, I wrote another 2-week notice, because what I did not want to happen was them to think that I wasn't serious, for one, and for two, that they could hold that against me. Moving from there, a friend of mine called me. She's a JD, Juris Doctorate. And she was starting this new program called We Solve, and she needed some publicity. So she was like, hey, I know you're in the industry. Can you write a press release for me and maybe get some interviews? So wrote the press release, and I was freelance writing at the time. So I wrote an article for her with one of the publications I was writing for, got her on, I think, CW39 or Fox, one of the shows. Then also pitched her to the radio station I just quit because they had a community affairs show. And the guy was like, oh, this is a great story. So I got her booked there too. And she takes me to lunch and she writes me a check for $100. And I said, oh, girl, I don't mind doing that. It took me like 15 minutes, whatever. I just called people that I know. And she said, well, this can be your rate, you know, $100 an hour. It's not that anymore. But anyway, because that was 24 years ago that I've been in business. But that's why I started my own business, was because of her, someone sowing a seed into me. And then I got with a mentor who had been in PR for a long time, and she helped me with the name of my business. And if you go on my website, the rest is her story, not history, her story. Long story short.
Good story. So I know before we started, we sort of did like a quick little survey about who's in the room. So I'm kind of looking at this as a crash course in PR for some students for a number of reasons. So for those of you who are not School of Communication students, you can do other things than hold a microphone, hold a camera. You can go into public relations. And so for those people, can you sort of explain what PR is or what strategic communication is from your professional perspective?
So the simplest definition for PR, which is public relations, is how the public relates to you, your business, or your product. Hey, how are you? Sorry. And that's the simplest term, because people do business with people that they know and trust. And so you guys see brands like McDonald's, you know, the Golden Arches. You see, give me somebody else. Apple, you know, it's the Apple computer, because everybody thinks an iPhone is better than an Android. I'm an Android user personally, so you can keep your comments, Apple people.
I'll hold mine.
Yes, please. And so we kind of relate to these brands because they've told us how to relate to them. Does that make sense? Like, stuff just came out about Starbucks. You guys are familiar with that? The thing that they like putting gasoline and coffee. Sorry, is that coffee? No. Okay. As I look at her Starbucks cup. And so now different things, the Campbell soup dude. So yeah, it's like, that's over. And then how we boycotted Target. And so now all of a sudden they're pouring, I forgot, billions of dollars into black businesses. I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't shopped at Target since, you know, we boycotted. So basically with PR, so what I do, there's a strategy to get your story out, because every brand has a story. I saw something about, who knows Polo? Ralph Lauren? Anybody ever wear Polo? Okay. So why do you wear Polo? Why do you wear it? I just think it looks nice. I saw it and I was like, oh, that's cute. So what if I told you that Ralph Lauren is not a fashion designer? He doesn't design his clothes. Do you know that? You knew that? Did you know that? So what Ralph Lauren sold the public was a story, a fantasy. Does that make sense? So he was very poor. Italy, little boy, and he saw how the wealthy lived. So he made Polo a brand, because Polo is a very upper echelon sport. And so when you go, just like the Kentucky Derby, you dress up, you watch the people, and afterwards you go out in Polo and do the divots or whatever, meaning you take your heels and push the dirt back in. So, and it's cool. It's a nice experience. But what he sold was a fantasy, instead of him actually being a designer and doing the sketches and all that stuff. The man has never made a sketch in his life. But he also had a great team behind him. Well, let me get designers. Let me get marketing, PR people to put this brand out with this story of this lifestyle. So that's how Polo became the brand it is today. So basically, that's what PR is, what I do with my clients. I find the interesting thing in their story. So for case in point, next month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you guys know that? Now, June is also Men's Health Awareness Month. Did you guys know that? So I have a client who is a mental fitness coach. And so right now, because of May and June, his story tracks because it's on point for what's coming up. And I find the story in that because his story is that he was a very top-notch attorney earning 7 figures a year, and he was spiraling, and nobody knew it. And how did he cope? Alcohol and drugs, until he had a really, really bad car accident. And in his recovery, he heard a voice, he heard God. And it was like, basically he came out with, if I keep doing this, I'm going to die. And then he tried to kill himself because he couldn't deal with his life. So all of that to say, now he is completely healed. He says he still has some pain, but he went through this thing, mentally. Now, everybody knows that when you think positively, positive things happen. You guys believe that or no? Okay. And so what he does is that he helps other people get past that mental barrier, if you will, of depression, negative thinking, negative thoughts. Because how many of you think negatively about yourselves? Don't be shy, because I do too. Even though I've been on this earth all this time, but I have to, check myself. I'm like, wait a minute now, hold on, what is this about? Because it could be something else. And you may think, I look, and don't get me wrong, I am put together very well, love my life, great, clients, great husband, we have a great life. However, every now and again, something may pop up. I may not be happy with something, and if I'm just being fully transparent, you might not be able to tell, but, being happy, your sister put on a little weight. So I'm not happy about that. But if that's the only thing that I have to be upset about, you understand what I mean? So it's like, why are you harping on that? Every time I go to the gas station, I'm thankful that I can put gas in my car. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm thankful. Every time I walk in my home, I'm thankful, because there's so many, especially what's going on now, what's understood that need to be spoken. It's a blessing. So I don't take anything for granted, but just saying that, every now and again, I may feel a certain type of way, and the man I'm married to, you've met him, he what's going on? Why are you upset? And he's very positive. So that helps too when you have someone very positive around you. But I digress. Anyway, so he's using his platform for what he's gone through. So it's the story that I'm telling. And then people will say, oh, okay, that seems cool. Then you get the people calling you, or you get the attention, because you don't have to do the advertising, because the story has enough weight in itself. Does that make sense, everybody? Now look, I like to talk. Y'all talk to me. I'm not here to talk at you. Talk to me. You have questions, please ask. Yes, Dr. Kirby's beautiful sitting here. She has her list of questions. However, because last year we went way off script.
I'm about to go off script right
Okay.
now. You've already said some things, and so I'm like, my brain is just going.
Okay.
I feel like this is a necessary shift just based off of what I feel in the room. What I tell my students whenever I teach intro to PR is, being a PR practitioner, you have to be very intuitive. Yeah. Very intuitive. And I know your intuition is spot on 100% of the time. And so can you sort of walk students through what it means to be a strategic communicator, a strategic communicator, a PR practitioner, but also walking in that sort of, I call it a mantle, that mantle of having like a bit of a prophetic thing about you, but also being able to look at someone and discern what's going on, to discern what the story is, because not a lot of people know what their story is. And so kind of walk through creating the story for someone, but using your spiritual gifts, if you will.
And that's it. You're exactly right, because it is a gift. And you're exactly right about people thinking that it's one story and it's not. So I purposely do media training but it's for one, because I'm a whole brand, so you're not going to get on TV or radio and make me look bad. So I walk you through that course of what to say, how to answer questions, to be concise. Because you're having a conversation with people, and I'm guilty of it, you go off track, which I just did. You go down the street to Grandma Maisel's house, and then you come back. But so for me, please know I don't always take everybody on too. Please understand that, because all money's not good money. And not just with me as a brand, but me as a person. I sleep very well at night, so I don't represent everybody. And so one of the things that I have is a gift of discernment, and I don't know, it's just this gift that when people come to me and I'm like, that's not the story. This is the story. So I'll give you an example. There was a young lady out of Atlanta, and she was doing this smoothie thing. Okay, well, everybody does smoothies. You have Smoothie King. Everybody has, what makes your smoothies different? You know, is there some formula that you've put together that makes you snatched in 2 days? What are we doing? Well, no, I'm mainly getting into it because my family has heart disease and some other things. And I was like, okay, so what are the results? Have you created a formula for the smoothies? Well, no, I just know that, you know, if they change their diet. Okay, well, who's done it? Well, nobody yet. I'm like, okay, so, okay, well, tell me a little bit. So I start interviewing her, because in a way that I know I can get questions. So as a journalist, because I'm a journalist at heart, I'll ask you a question and I'll get the answer. I'm going to ask you the same question, but in a different way, until I get the response that I need to get. Because sometimes it could be that you don't understand what I'm asking you. And then men and women hear things differently. We just do. So I'm talking to her, and she said, well, you know, I went to college and I gained, you know, 50 pounds. Because it's freshman 15, but I gained 50 pounds. And then I started creating a formula of vitamins and things. And now I have these vitamins that I sell, and I've been selling them since I was a sophomore in high school. I mean, in college, and they help. I said, that's the story. You were, you know, a sophomore in college, and you came up with this formula to help you, you know, control your, and it's vitamins, all natural, but just things that she looked at and studied. That's huge. You were a sophomore, and you came up with, and her product is still selling today. And she said, oh, well, it's just something I just put together and put online. I was like, are you kidding me? That's the story. Not that, I said, everybody's doing smoothies, not to bust your bubble, but if you had a formula like you did with your vitamins, and I'm trying to say vitamins because I say vitamins, remember I was overseas. So if you hear me slip up with the different pronunciation, though that's from overseas. But anyway, but yeah, I was like, no, you created these vitamins. And so, and it's not the, so like you guys are familiar with Black Girl Vitamins? Yeah. So hers, you know, she was kind of like the original before they came out. So yeah, that was the story. So strategically, just like I was telling you guys about the mental health month, I look at, for one, what's going on in the news. You always have to pay attention to what's going on in the news, because if it's not newsworthy, I'm going to tell you to buy an ad or do advertising, because it's not PR worthy. Because people hire me to get their story out. So it's a branding thing and their social media. If you want advertising, then you just buy and you tell people what it is that you want them to know. And then marketing is like, okay, hey, look, I have this, like this banner is marketing. But PR is the branding side and telling the story behind your product, your business, or your service. Why did you do it? Everybody does something because they get some kind of reaction. It gives some kind of satisfaction. You're teaching because you enjoy teaching. I'm just assuming that, but because you enjoy pouring into kids. If someone's in, you know, a certain situation, they're getting something out of it. So there's always a reason that you do something. So strategically, for one, I built relationships. Please do that with the media. And now I'm at a point where I can just call and say, hey, did you know it's such and such next month? I have a client that can come talk about such and such. Like I have a client who's another mediator, and she speaks Spanish. So her thing is to make sure that the Spanish community understands that you can, you know, resolve this without going to court, but they don't understand all the time. So she's there to speak, you know, to be an advocate for them, if you will. However, I was like, well, until I can get you on Telemundo and Univision, let's do CW39 and talk about how important mediation is, because the courts are still backed up from COVID. And so people are still on the docket waiting for dates. But guess what? You go through mediation, get it done, and go home. Because mediation is just because two parties have a misunderstanding. That's it. So that's one of the strategies, and it is strategic. So it's my relationships that I have with producers. Now, some anchors, if you will, may have some pull, but the producers are the ones you guys want to build the relationships with, because they're the ones who book people for shows, producers. Now, if you have a good relationship with the anchors or reporters, you can kind of put it in their ear, and then they'll say, hey, talk to this producer, or, oh, this is so-and-so. They'll introduce you. So relationships are very, very important. Of course, you write your press release, send it over, pitch first. You have to have a good pitch. And when you pitch, you're telling them why this is important for their audience. Know some history on the media outlet that you're looking at as well as if it's a journalist. Look at what stories they've written. You wouldn't send a story about a CEO who just bought whatever, and this young lady writes stories about gardening and horticulture. So know your audience, basically. And give them more information. Something I started doing is that I started writing out the segment for them. Not that they need the help, but I've been doing it for so long, and I know the industry. So I do something called a producer's brief. I create talking points for my clients along with the media training, and I give those questions and talking points to the producers as well. And they're like, oh, this is great, Bridget, thanks. So now they're kind of spoiled, because if I don't send it, they're like, where's our stuff? So it's just getting to know the industry, getting to know the people, who make the decisions, the decision makers, if you will. And then being strategic, like what's going on in the news, or if it's a certain month, and then doing your research. PR is probably 85% research. You have to do a lot of research. And the reason why that's important also is because you don't want to get stuck in that place where someone says, I'm the first. I had that happen. I forgot what it was. The lady was like, oh, no, I'm the first that's ever done that. And I was like, are you though? And I was glad that I did that, because she was running for office. Now, politics is tricky, which you guys know. And I deal with politicians as well. And when I did the research, not only was she not the first, but I think Barbara Jordan was the one who did it first. I don't remember what it was. I'm sorry. If it comes back to me, I'll share it with you. But I was like, girl, you would have had me out here talking about you're the first, and you weren't, and it's a prominent figure in history. So it's very important to do your research. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, and
are you guys with me still? Am I losing you?
You have a question, Dr. Abo?
Oh, go ahead. No,
You can have a loud voice. Raised in the jungle. We can get it everywhere. Anyway, I'm going to ask you a question based on classroom experience. I teach a lot of intro classes.
Okay.
And I have an observation that PR is kind of being undersold in the field of communication and journalism. A lot of young folks don't. They don't even know that it's a part of communication.
Right.
But what I do is that at the beginning of the class, I'm going to be asking them, how many of you want to be PR agents when you, as a prospect, or when you graduate? I'll have no hands up. And by the end of the class, I'll at least have 2 or 3, which is an indication that they don't understand PR. So my question is, what would you tell this audience, especially for students still considering their prospect? What would you tell them about PR so that they can go home and give it a thought that if I graduate and go into PR, I can make income?
So I'm going to tell you the truth. I know you want, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. You have to enjoy it. I enjoy what I do. And most PR people that I know, we're all a little bit crazy, because we're not just your publicists. We're also your counselors. We also can be attorneys, and I also do crisis management. And so, but PR is very rewarding if you like to tell stories. Because I've been writing, I used to create my little books when I was a kid and write stories. So you can have a lucrative career in PR. Now, this is over 24 years for me. Is it round of applause? 24 years. Come on, come on, come on. Thank you. So, and I had to, start slow. But the thing is I never worked for anybody else. I went straight from television, radio, media world, straight into PR. So I won't say that's the smartest things. Hello, Dr. Williams. Lovely to see you. It's one of my favorite people back there. Besides you, Dr. Kirk. Please don't take it personal. But no, it's fun. I have, met celebrities. I'm speaking. I have speaking opportunities. I've worked with different brands. I'm a brand. The thing with PR, though, is you can kind of pave your own way. People tried to put me in a box, but when you tell one story, you can tell any story. Now, when I started out, yes, I started out with fashion, beauty, because I love fashion, beauty, sports, and entertainment, because they kind of all went into the same field. Then all of a sudden, someone's running for something. They're like, I want you to be my publicist. I'm like, I don't know anything about politics. But you do when you do your research. So I don't want what you want me to tell. I mean, it's been a great career for me, a great path for me. But if you guys get in it, and if you want to start at a lucrative PR firm if you like, because I have a boutique PR firm, so it's me and two other people. But I do internships during the summer because people look for internships. And no offense, but the books does not do justice for what you guys teach in the books. It doesn't. Because when I get interns, they're like, this isn't in the book. Because some things you just have to learn from real world experiences, and I understand that. But I will say I'm a little disappointed that there's some things that happen in the real world aren't in the books. But I guess that's because you have to learn it on your own. And my family thinks I live this glamorous life, which I do, but at the same time, it's work. What you put in is what you get out of it. So I can't just have a football player come and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, especially if he was in the 5th round draft pick, number 103. So now it's my job. I don't even know. Is that right, you guys? Is that right? Okay. We'll go. I know a little bit about. Yeah. So you want to kind of help him, because then that's a challenge. Okay, yes, you are with the Texans, but how can we get you some endorsements? How can we make sure, that you're doing this? So then you find out what their story is. So you have to like people. Do you guys like people? No? No, be honest. Because the way the world is now, unfortunately, it's very selfish. And in PR, you can't be selfish, because you have to put, your clients first. And are you okay, hon? You okay? Okay. Where y'all going?
Before we pivot, there's something that I want you to talk about, because I think there is a misconception that PR practitioners make things up. And you hear the term spinning news, spinning this story and all of that, but we don't make things up.
But we do spin.
We do spin, but we don't make things up.
Spin.
If we see the color red, we might not call it red. We might call it crimson. But we're not making this up.
Not making it up.
All.
Wait. Oh, they're switching classes. Because my feelings are hurt. Like, am I boring? Y'all leaving?
No.
Okay. Well, bye, you guys.
But
I hope you learned something.
Hope so too. But yeah, we. Okay. Part 2. I know we started late. How much? Okay. Okay.
Just give them a second to transition, so it will be moving while you're talking.
Okay. So let's stick with this telling the truth piece.
I think we got to try it right here.
because there are a lot of people who feel like PR practitioners lie, and ethically, I do not lie. We strategically tell stories. We strategically tell stories.
We spin.
We strategically tell stories. Exactly. Spin is not a lie. So I think that and I say this because I've run into other PR practitioners. I think, we've talked about before how I worked in politics as well. And I had a client, and something happened, and we were having this meeting, and it was another person who was also a PR practitioner, and they were just saying, oh, we should do this, we should do this, and nothing was true. Nothing was true. And I said, the thing about it is, when you lie, you can easily find these things out. Yeah. And once someone finds these things out, that tarnishes your brand. Absolutely. So find a way to know what the facts are and speak about the facts in a positive way, or speak about the facts in a different way, creating a different perspective of what the truth is.
Crisis management.
Exactly. So I know I kind of went a little bit longer, but from your perspective, have there been times where you thought, I need to artfully tell this story in a way that it's not being told right now?
Never. Like I said, I sleep good at night. And for me, that's morally, moral interpretude is very important to me. And so now I have colleagues, I'm not gonna say no names, have, twisted and lied. And I'm like, girl, do you realize that people can do this? And plus, in the day and age that we're in, it's too easy to look for things on the internet. Now, the internet lies too. You can find things out. And so the best way I always say is tell the truth. That saying the truth shall set you free. People like honesty, especially now in this world of chaos where people are always, making up stories, if you will. And so now it's like, when you tell the truth, it's like, listen, that was me. I did it. I'm sorry. But then I always tell clients, if you're not sorry, then don't apologize. Absolutely. For real. Or I will be the one to do the press conference and say, but I still need you, because sometimes you're not ready yet. And it just depends on what happened or how it was found out. You may still feel some kind of way, and that's okay, because we're human. And a lot of times I think, especially people of power, we put them on a pedestal, and celebrities, and we expect them not to have any problems and to be perfect. And like Tiger Woods in Trouble in. It's like, I'm so sick of seeing that dude in trouble. So now he's finally getting help, but he's going out the country to get help. Sir, I'm not, you understand what I mean? So are you really getting the help? So it's like, who's there to hold him accountable? Meaning to help him make sure he gets the help that he needs instead of him self-medicating. And there are many ways that you can self-medicate. But for me, telling the truth is always the best thing. Rip the Band-Aid off. Tell the truth, then we work from there. Because when people see, oh, well, they're sorry, because we're forgiving people. And we always want to see people win. So, yeah.
I have another interesting question. I have this is an occupational hazard. Whenever I'm teaching a class and someone wants to turn in an assignment late, Bree could tell you, I'll say, don't give me an excuse. Just ask me for the extension. Don't give me an excuse. Because the occupational hazard, I can just detect a lie quickly. And once I detect the lie, I am immediately offended, because it's like, why would you lie to me? Like, I'm the most honest person you'll ever meet, So when it comes to clients, because clients will tell tall tales, have you ever had a client that was not telling you the truth about something and you had to find out the hard way?
Never, because I always make sure that I get the facts and I do my research. And then I fire them. Because I don't want to work with you. Because you don't have integrity. I don't know if I told this story last year, but we were at an event and a client sponsored the event. And so I had Magic 102 out there. I don't know if you guys remember Marco Spoon. That's okay. So Marco Spoon came out and he was like interviewing people. So he's like, hey, where's your client? So I go to find this dude. And that's how I'm referring to him, because I feel some kind of way. So I was like, hey, you're on. We had done the media training. I'm telling him, hey, this is going to be quick, maybe a 5-minute interview, but it's live. So he was like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, wait a minute, it's live? It's Magic 102? Now I've told you all of this. And he was acting funny. I was like, what's going on? Are you nervous? That's fine. You'll do great. I've prepped you. Well, see, that's never good when they start out with well, see. I said, well, you need to come in, sweetie. Come on. I said, well, see what? So, yeah, my ex-wife doesn't know that I own the company. And if she hears that I own the company, she's going to take me back to court for more child support. I was like, what? You're telling me this now?
Why did you agree to this? Why are we here? Yeah.
Now, if he would have been honest and said, give me the decision, don't take my choice away from me. And that's how I felt. And I said, okay. He said, but she can do it, which was his business partner. So I said, okay, look, I prepped that girl in 5 minutes and she knocked it out the park. On Monday, I went to go pick up my check. He's like, oh, Bridget, you did a great job. Da, 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 da. I said, thank you, but we are no longer doing business with you. What are you talking about? I said, sir, you put me in a bad position. I said, not only did you lie and say, you don't want to take care of your kids, I have a problem with that. So it was a moral thing for me. You do what you do, no judgment, but don't drag me into it. That's just like seeing a man, dating a man, ladies, you relate to this, sorry guys, and he's married, but doesn't tell you. And then now you're all in love, you took my choice. You shouldn't be dating a married man anyway, but I'm just saying, and then, yeah, we're breaking up. I'm done. And he was livid. I mean, I just said, no, sir, you should have been honest from the beginning. And you need to handle that and figure that out, because your kids should not be missing out because you don't like their mother. They don't have anything to do with that. So.
One of the reasons why I keep harping on this storytelling piece is because we live in a world where people are telling stories and they're not real and they're making things up. Yeah, there is one person I really want to talk about who is not saying things, but just
all the time he should be banned.
Exactly, just making things up
all the time.
And it is so hard sometimes to come back from a lie.
It is.
It's so hard because once the offense is in someone's mind, it's there. It's stained, and now it is now a part of that person's character. And so as a PR practitioner, if you stay with that person, you'll always have to, it'll be a thorn in your side, because everything that you do is to help that person get over this particular character flaw that audiences do not like. So you have to have that choice. And I think I was having a conversation with someone one day, and I told them on the side, and when I graduated from school, I was a PR major, and I went into PR, loved it, still love it to this day. But I remember they said, "Oh, so you like to lie?" I was like, "No, I actually don't. I actually don't. I actually am brutally honest, to be completely honest with you." But it just stuck with me, because it's like, no, I think PR practitioners have a charm about them, or us. And sometimes that charm can come off like we're trying to woo people, but that's just who we are.
So let me say this. When PR kind of became popular, attorneys also, so we were kind of clumped in with attorneys that, attorneys lie, and then most PR professionals, and see, it's so funny, this practitioner thing, that's something new. I'm a publicist. But I don't know where the practitioner thing came from. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that's what it is now. But I think, to your point, because kind of like in the 80s when PR started kind of climbing up there, so we're very polished. I'm very polished, not just in the way I dress, but in the way that I speak, in the way that I carry myself. And there was a stigma that kind of stuck to publicists lying. And you do, now don't get me wrong, there are some publicists that will spin, so that's where that term came from. So it's like spinning the truth to kind of skew it just a little bit, just kind of right there on the outside of what the truth is. So we kind of got that reputation because we're slick. Most PR people that I know, dress nice, and and the guys, and we're in whatever fashionably, whatever, the shoes, the, purses, the clothes. So then it's kind of like, well, people pay you all this money and you look like this. And so when you look good, people tend to believe you. It's just facts. If someone's attractive, they'll get more attention. It's just facts. This is just the way it is, because people like beautiful things. People want to look at people, who look good, who are polished. For case in point, for ladies, you go get your hair done, and the hairstylist's hair looks like a bird's nest. Do you want her to do your hair? No. Exactly. No. You look like this? No. Or you go to a makeup artist and she looks like a clown. Yeah, nah. I'm good. I'll do my own makeup. But you understand what I'm saying? And that's a form of branding, how you present yourself to the public. Because again, people do business with people that they know and trust. That's why we buy Ferragamo and Gucci and Lucci and Pucci and all those people, But I'm a thrifter, so I thrift and I don't pay anything full price. Clock it.
We have a fascination with image.
Yes, love to thrift. One man's trash is another man's treasure. So
I mean, there's so much with PR. We're getting into image now. And one of the things that you mentioned, if you look a particular way, that really adds to your credibility. And I will make a segue to sort of talk to students. This is why it's important to arrive places with a certain presence about yourself. Get started on it. Yes. So one of the things that I used to say whenever on the first day of class, if I'm teaching a PR class, when you walk in, I can tell you 10 things about yourself just by the way that you're walking in and you sit down. Because we are trained to do these things. And so how you present yourself adds credibility to you, whether you know it or not. The way you walk around a store, the way you drive, the music that you're playing really loudly, the places that you go, the type of friends that you have. All of these different things go into your image and the credibility of it all. And again, if we're all a lot of us are school of communication students. These are things that we have to be cognizant of too. So I know you said don't get me started, but I would love for you to get started, because this is something that students need to know. This is public relations. This is PR. This is imaging. It's your own personal brand. And I tell people all the time, taking a PR class or being a part of a PR talk is really like a self-help talk, because before we do these things, we must present ourselves a particular way as well. So,
because I can tell you, I've had people come to me and say, I like the way you carry yourself. That's why I want to hire you. They don't know anything about me, but just because they've seen how I carried myself in public with other people, handled myself a certain way, they want to hire me. And then they're like, oh my gosh, it's the best decision ever. So how many of you are familiar with the Greater Houston Black Chamber of Commerce here in Houston? Young man, what is your name? Demetrius. You are very aware, and I appreciate that. Are you a senior, junior? Junior. What's your field of study? Okay. I can see that. On the ones and twos, I don't think they call it that anymore. Y'all forgive me. Sometimes my age comes up. Somebody had a question? Oh, okay.
Hey, Pal, you have a question? No?
So they have this program called, 6-week program called the Chamber Link, and I've been, a part of that as well. Hey, Rashonda Tate Billingsley. I'm sorry, Rashonda. Sorry, Billingsley no longer. I'm sorry. How you doing, love? Good to see you. And so they asked us the question, hi. I'm sorry, y'all. These are people that I know and love. They asked the question, what are people saying about your age group? Okay. And it's that self-entitlement. That's one of the things. Disrespectful. They don't know how to carry themselves. They don't know how to dress. Slothfulness, lazy. And I said, or the smartest, dumbest kids ever. And that's like a double entendre, but because that said, because it's like you guys have these things and the phones, and it's like you don't communicate with people. Like I spoke at PV one year, and I was like, why do you guys ask for your phone numbers or ask for your social media instead of just asking for your phone number? Well, see, that way if I don't like you, you don't have my number, and then I don't have to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because there's this thing called blocking. And just like you'll block someone on the internet, yeah, but you know, a phone number is too personal. I still don't understand it. Do you guys still do that? Ask for your social media? Can you explain it to me? But they can find that out on your social media too, can't they?
On social media, yeah, on social media it's whatever I put on there. So if you ask for my social media, it's very curated, so you see what I want you to see.
So to that point, are you really getting to know someone just based off of their social media? Because you just seeing whatever. You exactly. That's what she's saying. Yes, that's what she's saying.
It's like give you a trial run, just spoon feeding you until you feel comfortable enough that you feel good.
Spoon feeding.
It goes into the you associate yourself with people that you think look how you want them to look. Like if I look at your social media and it's all
Yeah, but I could be putting up a bunch of stuff that I want you to see, and you still don't get to know me.
And things that aren't real.
Exactly.
And
Because you
things
know,
that aren't
social media is the
factual.
highlight reel.
You said
Oh, that's not your brand.
He wouldn't know. He said that's not his brand.
So you guys have a reputation. What do you, not millennials. What do you, Gen Z? You're millennial, Gen Zs? Okay, so that's been the thing, that Gen Zs are, disrespectful, all those things. I don't believe that, because I don't think any of you in here are disrespectful. Would I be far from the truth, or am I right? Because you're all college students, so there has to be some respect there. What happened?
he just told us his age. I wasn't expecting.
How old are you? Okay. Yeah, that's why he knows. Okay. That's why he's aware. Okay. You look 24, sir. Just so you know. We'll let these people come in. So this is the Houston Defender Newspaper Network. Are you guys speaking next? I love these people. Y'all have no idea. Mr. Swad, Miss Rashonda. Rashonda, what is your last name now? Just Tate. Okay. Please forgive me for that. I'm just so used to, because lady used to be on Fox 26. Hi, I'm Rashonda Tate Billingsley. Yeah, That's how I got to know her. And then my girl Laura. Hi. I met her in a whole different state. When I saw her again, I was like, oh, that was you. And then this gentleman, I'm sorry, what's your name again? Mr. Jones. So, he's not with the newspaper? Why would you say Rodney Jones? Who is that? Wow, that's what we're doing. Okay.
He missed that segment about telling the truth.
You know, tell the truth. Wow.
He missed the segment. He missed these 5 minutes earlier.
Anyway,
you wouldn't have said
where
that.
were we going, Dr. Kirby? This dude is throwing me off.
We actually have to wrap it
Oh,
up.
man.
I was going to say, does anybody have any questions
you have any
before we
questions for
end?
me?
Yes, sir. What is your name? Supreme.
Okay.
Come on, Brand.
Okay. Whole brand. Whole brand.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask. So y'all not gonna talk about the using AI?
We didn't even get to that.
So what do you want to know, real quick?
I don't know. I was just curious.
Oh.
Use AI to secure media visibility.
So I use AI for research. When remember I told you guys with PR research, you have to research. Because I had a client who misquoted something because it was for Juneteenth. And I went and done the research, and then I told her, I said, is it this person you took? She's like, oh my gosh, that's it. So I was like, okay. And then when, I write pitches, I just want to make sure that I have the right information in there. Don't be afraid of AI. I'm sure you guys are used to AI. It's here. use it because it can help, with research, with cutting down things that you need to find out. It's very useful in PR. I still write my own press releases because now I think they have information where they can put it in there to see if AI wrote it or if you wrote it. But then you can train your AI too. So we can talk offline if you want to. I'm sorry. What, sweetie? What was your question? I couldn't. Well, yes and no. Not that because I'm older, like I told you guys my age, and I don't mind, but because I have to be with the program, but because some media stations have these machines where they put the press release in and see if you wrote it or if AI wrote it. So I still like to write, something I love to do. So I will put it in there and say, okay, can you find corrections or grammars? Because sometimes we write the way we speak, and although you think you speak well, when you're writing, it may have some grammatical errors or something, and you like run on sentences or something like that. And so, but the meat of it, the heart of it, is always my voice over the story I'm telling. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes, ma'am. And then we had to go because the Houston Defender people looking at me like.
It's more so of a comment, but I would say as a viewer and a consumer, when you notice AI from different brands, I feel like that's usually a turn off in my eyes.
No, you would be correct. You'd be correct. Yeah. So you have to be careful because they're making it look real.
That part.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
All right, and I'm gonna say, if anyone has any questions for Mrs. Wise, she'll be hanging around. All right, thank you all for being such a captive audience.
Yes.
Awesome. Shout out to these amazing ladies in this amazing session on PR. Can we give them one more beautiful hand, a real warm hand? Amazing. Welcome into the room, all of our 10 a.m. audience. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that we've got at least